Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. The Russians conducted another massive missile strike all over the entire territory of Ukraine, and the main explosions took place in the western part of Ukraine, where the Ukrainians have the biggest gas storages in Europe. And according to information we have, European Union were using those storages for its purposes. Furthermore, we got more details and more, let's say, satellite pictures of Ladishka thermal power plants. On the top picture, we can see the plant with the gas above it. On the bottom one, we don't see any gas, any smoke, which confirms complete absence of any activity of this power plant. Furthermore, the Russians were attacking Odessa region during the previous night, and the main targets of the Russians were the energy facilities in the area. And after another strike, we see complete blackout of Odessa. On this video, for example, we can see the results of strike, and let's say in a second after the strike, the entire Odessa went into darkness. Regarding the situation in Odessa, the France can still says and tell us that they're planning to send forces and troops to Ukraine. During a briefing in Odessa, the chairman of the lower house of parliament continued to old Macron propaganda story, reassuring Ukrainians with alleged possibility of sending troops. I'll remind you that during this year, lots of European countries have already signed significant number of security agreements with Ukraine, and according to those security agreements, the Ukrainians, the European countries promised Ukraine supply and support, but now, as I understand, there were secret paragraphs or secret pages of those agreements, and according to those secret pages, the entire Ukraine was split into many regions, and every single European country who provided Ukrainians the security agreements is responsible for this or that region. As I understand, and now we can tell for 100% sure that Odessa area is under the responsibility of France. Very likely that the western part of Ukraine, like Lvov, is under the responsibility of Poland, and the main evidence for that is that every time Russia attacked Lvov with cruise missiles, the Poland raised their F-16s with the purpose to bring down the missiles. So as I understand, Poland is responsible for Lvov. Currently, we don't know what is responsible for the United Kingdom and Canada and other countries. Maybe United Kingdom is responsible for Kiev. Anyway, sooner or later we will find this out. Now we are moving further to the situation on the ground, and very interesting details are coming from the Kharkiv area. The Ukrainian sources published the video of how they were moving in the gray zone on the territory of Ukraine. They, let's say, presented this video as another victory or something like this, but on the video you can see just how the Ukrainian soldiers were moving along the gray zone on the border with Russia, and at some point they start raising their flags in the villages. And maybe you've seen this video already. For you to understand, the Ukrainian flags were raised in the villages like Shabelne, Pishane, and Dikhtyarne, and these three villages are located on the territory of Ukraine. So this is the part of Ukraine, not the part of Russia. And this is very important because not just because of this video, also the Ukrainians continue building fortifications in the vicinity of Kiev. A photo of drone of the defensive lines of the armed forces of Ukraine being built in the Kiev region, including the so-called Dragon T's and anti-tank ditches. So we see activity in Kiev, Sumy, so all over the entire Ukraine, the Ukrainians are doing something. Even in Odessa, the Ukrainians are building the fortifications. All these things confirms just one thing, that currently neither the Ukrainians nor the Western countries know for sure where exactly the Russians are planning to start so-called the greatest Russian offensive operation. In Kiev, they're building fortifications. In Odessa, they're building fortifications. In Kharkiv, they're maintaining the gray zone, and they will keep their forces there just with one purpose. If ever the Russians are going to launch full-scale offensive operation this way, they just want to have some forces on the ground who will warn the rest of the, let's say, Ukraine army that the Russians began doing something. Just, of course, they will stay there and they will not be able to evacuate, but the rest of Ukrainian army, according to the Ukrainians, will have enough of time to prepare themselves before further clashes with the Russians. Now we are moving to the situation on the ground, and we have additional reports from Novomikhailivka. The Russians continue offensive, and according to different mappers, the Russians managed to maintain the gray zone and to capture additional fields and tree lines further to the west in direction of Konstantinovka. At least neutral mappers confirmed this information, yet we still haven't received 100% sure confirmation whether the Russians managed to establish control over this part or not. But regarding this situation, we understand that the days of Novomikhailivka are numbered, and we see that the Russians intensify their activity or renew their activity from Pobeda towards Konstantinovka as well. We have fire anomaly to the south of the village, confirming the Russian artillery focus, and with the purpose to clear the area for further ground operation. We have artillery bombing of Konstantinovka itself. On this video we can see another evacuation or process, or maybe the Ukrainians brought some supply and they got under artillery fire, and we have another artillery system destroyed to the west north of Konstantinovka as a result of counter-artillery duels. So we'll see what is going to be next. Furthermore, the Ukrainians during the previous days conducted few counter-offensives from Georgievka to Pobeda, trying to slow down the Russians, but during another attack the Ukrainians got on the minefields and were destroyed. When talking about western Avdiivka area, as you can see, we have adjusted the map, and as you can see, we have colored the fields between Toninka, Yasnobrodovka, and Pervomayska. We have enough of geolocations confirming this. On this video, for example, we can see the abandoned Russian tank in the area, and after the Russians abandoned, the Ukrainians brought FPV drones in the area and started clearing the territory from Russian vehicles, and this video took place here. So basically the Russians first entered the territory with the armored vehicles, they landed the infantry, and then the Ukrainians destroyed the tanks. So that's why we colored the map, and very likely the Russians managed to move even further, but for now we are going to keep everything as is. Very interesting details we have from the Institute of Study of War report, and the thing is that the intelligence update confirms that Russian forces have maintained a gradual advance west of Avdiivka, exactly what we were talking just a minute ago. In late March of 2024, they almost certainly took control of two villages, Toninka and Orlovka. According to information we have, the Russians have already done this, and they are continuing to contest others in the area. Russia has continued attacks along several other points on the front line, but has made little progress in the recent weeks. And the most important thing, according to this report, that Russia maintains a significant quantitative advantage in the conflict, overmatching Ukraine in munition and equipment numbers. It's likely recruiting, just pay attention to number, 30,000 soldiers per month. 30,000 soldiers per month the Russians can recruit every single, and if we multiply these 30,000 for 12 months, like a year, we understand that the Russians are able to replace completely the entire army they have currently on the line of combat contact. So by the end of the year, they can demobilize every single soldier they have right now and to mobilize another soldiers by signing the contracts. So very likely the Russians do have some plans for some greatest offensive operation. For now, we just don't know where exactly the Russians are planning to do this. Furthermore, we got some more details from Berdichi. The fierce battles and clashes still continue there. There are very heavy clashes, very difficult for the Russians to force the Ukrainians to fall back. And we have additional report from the Russian sources about the use of drones. As you can see, these are entire group company of Russian robots storming Berdichi. The sources are saying that that was a very important and very interesting experience, and according to information we have, Russia was the first country in the world who started using the drones, robots, in real conflicts during the real assault operation. This type of technology has lots of countries like the United States of America and let's say many other, but Russia was the first who tried to use them in a real situation, in real combat. So we'll see, but obviously if the special military operation continues, the Russians don't need to sign contracts with 30,000 soldiers a day. They just need to produce as many as possible of the drones or something like this. So anyway, there's still no progress from the Russian side on Berdichi, but the Russians are pushing. Furthermore, we got additional video of destroyed Abrams somewhere in the vicinity of the village by the name of Solovyova by attack of Lancet. For example, this is just the episode. This is the Abrams and this is Russian Lancet. Now we are moving further to Bakhmut-Artyomov's direction. There were almost no updates on the line between Klishchevka to Bogdanovka, just a significant, let's say, focus of the Russian armed forces on the Ukrainian soldiers and troopers inside of Bogdanovka. Lots of FPV drone strikes. The Russians continue clearing operation. And interesting and important update is coming from Chasiv Yar itself. There are about 900 civilians left in Chasiv Yar. The police are trying hard to take them out. Soon there will be a battle for this town. So just 900 people left in the area, which confirms that this is 100% legal power for a legal target for Russian, because this is no longer a civilian town. This is the military object with fortifications and so on. More details we are getting from Razdolovka and the Veselaya Vyemka area. The Russians still haven't begun the ground operation. They decided to wait for a little bit to continue clearing the area. For example, on this video we can see the arrivals of 2 FABs in the town, in the village of Razdolovka. On another video we can see the Russians were bombing the territory with the thermobaric, let's say, rounds, let's say munition. So the clearing operation and the preparation phase still continues, but very likely the Russians are going to start clashes very soon. And we have the Russians were bombing the hills to the top of Veselaya. This is the landfills, hills, the highest positions in the area under Ukrainian control, which were under very heavy bombing of the Russian army. So from day to day the Russians are going to start something. We haven't received anything from the southern Kupiansk direction as well as from the northern Kupiansk direction. So, and that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes to my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.